Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming. My name is Hollow and it's time for the last class ranking before any future relevant updates for this very funny game. Essentially, I've covered the opening week leveling rankings, that initial endgame state, and now we're nicely geared up with lots of people having even the new unique stones or even ubers, let alone their ideal sets for their builds. How are things standing now we've had that real testing and time? To reasonably rank things, we're going to consider 3 different aspects of the main gameplay current loop: clearing vaults at tier 90 plus or tier 100 ideally, you're doing various overworld tasks and the kind of vibe of your class, and you're killing the target bosses to get yourself the ideal uniques, drops or even ubers in single target. This generally devolves into just farming Druid, to be honest. Fortunately, we do have the gauntlet launching with season 3. Just kidding, they delayed it. It's actually coming soon, February 13th, so very soon we will actually have an endgame system. Just kidding, Blizzard in their infinite comedy have delayed it again, and now we do not even have a release date. So for now, we're ranking the classes based on these 3 categories. We'll start with the main and most important one then, boss killing, because that's mostly what we do at this point. From the bottom at 5, we have actually 3 classes at once, so this is actually 3rd place, just join. So, Necromancer Bone Spear will kill an ideal target dummy like Uber Lilith ridiculously quick in like 2-3 seconds. A Lightning Storm Druid or even a Tornado Druid will kill in the same period. A Comet or even Blizzard Sorcerer also does that. Though, by the way, the footage I show of the Sorcerer kill here is from Josh, who doesn't have Uber uniques compared to the other 2 I showed. They will have competitive, very comparable burst, so much so that they're within the same 1-second kill. Now, you could argue some require more setups than the others, maybe there's more RNG with others, maybe even one 0.04% faster. I just say that they're that close and there's no challenge, that they're equal. Every class can absolutely dumpster our current relevant endgame, Druid farming, and it just comes down to a question of who can kill something like Druid before, say, it even has a chance to go immune. Since every class can do that, there's not much to compete over currently. On the other hand, I am clearly placing 2 other classes above those 3, aren't I? And that's because both Rogue and Barbarian simply one-shot these targets, killing them with 1 unleashed blow, not even taking a couple seconds at all, just instantly killing them. So Rogue's able to one-shot bosses for a variety of reasons. In short, Penetrating Shot is doing surprisingly well for Rogues. That was the devs' focus for this season, to push down Twisting Blades and raise up the ranged Rogue concept. Initially, we saw these ridiculous clips like this one, massive ticks of over 20 million, bursts of that all at once, leading to over 100 million damage in an instant kill on every boss or target you're dealing with. One quick setup to dump all that power into, say, one powerful rapid fire that kills whatever it touches. Quite the setup, involving, say, the Banished Lord, so spending resources beforehand to prep a juiced overpower. To Bolt's Will, so you get an Unstoppable ready, the new Beastfall Boots for Rogues, a unique that increases the next core skill damage per energy spent, and on top of silly stuff like Standing Still for Inner Calm and barrier enhancements. With the right setup, you can kill any boss instantly, and the effort is very much worth it because you save a lot of time. The popular and pretty cool concept of dual core is definitely back this season, using Penetrating Shot to clear packs, say, and relying on rapid fire to kill a single target such as a boss. But that was just pushed further and simpler by Mippy again to deal a completely reasonable 536 million damage in 1 hit with a fully juiced Penetrating Shot rather than even needing rapid fire. So Penetrating Shot's potential for boss killing is very relevant, meaning Rogue is top tier for killing bosses, just like Barbarian. Barbarian has also only really got better. The classic Hammer of the Ancients is still busted as hell, able to one-shot bosses with outrageous raw damage. It's even smoother to play now because of the improvements to things like charge, allowing for a nice burst from charge, but also, another source of unstoppable and utility through movement. The single target is nuts. It eats bosses for breakfast, whether you're using charge to do it or hammering. A charge can genuinely deal millions of damage and instant kill a boss with the right build, whereas a hammer can deal hundreds of millions or even as hard as, say, 1 billion in a single hit. Compared to Rogue though, you're doing a lot less crazy setup or carefully standing still. You're pretty much just spending resources to prep an overpower via Banished Lords, you generate Unstoppable for bolts, you do your shouts and just kind of smash, and the numbers are insane. Between Rogues and Barbs though, they're both one-shotting everything you might do in the game right now. One of them has a lot less setup required in the form of Barbarian compared to Rogue. So that's basically why I put the Barbarian above the Rogue. On the other hand then, the Gauntlet is coming and speed clearing dungeons is going to be really important. How do the classes stack up against each other for farming out, say, a tier 90 plus Nightmare dungeon and the vaults currently? This one's actually a lot closer because everyone is chewing through this content super quick. Please take this one with a grain of salt. The difference between them is barely anything. So at the bottom for speed clearing then, I put Necromancer. Not because it can't kill everything instantly, it can and will, whether that's Bone Spear, a Bone Spirit included build, the new Sever stuff, or the genuinely awesome Blood Surge option. You just can't escape raw facts. It doesn't matter how strong it is, Necromancer is so slow. Sorcerers are flying and teleporting, rogues are sprinting, dashing, teleporting, barbs and druids are sprinting constantly. Necromancers, we walk, and we walk slow. And I expected Necromancer movement to be improved at some point in one of the seasons, and I was a fool for thinking that. This leaves Necromancer relying on, say, getting a speed boost when you land crits, or raw movement speed affixes and movement speed after you kill an elite. Unironically, those are going to be very important stats to have on your gear for the gauntlet so that we can actually move through it quick. I think Bone Spear and Blood Surge builds with a focus on movement speed are actually going to be the most popular choices in the gauntlet for Necromancers, but compared to everyone else, we are going to be slow as hell. For the remaining 4, it's genuinely hard to rank them, but since I'm forced to for the purpose of this video, I'm going to place Barbarian and Druid together just above Necromancer for speed clearing. Barbarian can semi-sprint with a raw and a fly around with a charge, while Druids can rely on the dire wolf aspect, giving them this massive movement speed buff while they're in that wolf form. There's also other passive ways to increase wolf form speed, so you can be zooming around permanently while you're clearing a dungeon as a werewolf druid. While barbs are going to have the bigger damage numbers, and we do believe there's going to be more to the gauntlet than just the speed clearing itself. So with that in mind, I'm putting druid and barb at joint second place, necromancer at third, which means both sorcerer and rogue are actually first to join in this speed clear category. The new state of rogues relying on range penetrating shots for ultra fast clear and wide reaching AoE means they're able to take out an enemy from far if they need to, so they can effectively keep moving. If there's specific objectives, they're going to be even better for that. Also, they'll have insane single target burst, so some serious contention for gauntlet rankings. While sorcerers are just sorcerers. Drop a blizzard on a pack while moving forward and that pack dies while you didn't even see it die. Sprinting around, teleporting to the next room. Between these two, there might be argument for penetrating shot requiring some more thought though, the imbuements to be available when you need them, the aiming to make sure every enemy is hit, while sorcerer is basically place the skill on an enemy and then hey, it's dead. Much less thought by comparison. But I do think rogue should have faster movement, so I think it's pretty close. I am very interested to see how it turns out though in the gauntlet, and what will they have us doing truly outside of raw killing and moving quick, and that may change how things stack up once we know. Finally, a completely vibe based category, the sort of general feeling of the class currently. Everyone's strong, everyone can do it all, but some classes are way more popular than others right now, and that's for a reason. I actually put Necromancer at the bottom of this category because holy jank right now. I am a Necromancer main. I'm upset by the current state of it, mainly by the way that it hasn't progressed, and so it's felt worse as time has gone on. Not because it's weak. Bone Spear Necromancer is insanely strong right now for the raw power, and yeah, Blood Surge looks like it's going to be awesome from mob clear and might be huge in the gauntlet. Sever's doing great now. Infinite Mist is still awesome. You actually have more build diversity than before in terms of meta relevance. It's just the way the class works, the failure of the class fantasy in terms of minions that continues to bother me, and the lack of mechanical improvements, especially if I compare it to other classes. It's got awful movement speed, no reliable unstoppable effect. Blood Mist literally CCs you, which is a DPS loss for most builds, where others are just doing a teleport, a charge, a shield activate. Please make Blood Mist like a full shield or something. And then obviously minions. You've got zero control, they have terrible output in the minion based season. I'm baffled. The issues with this class feel design based, and I think they deserve more updates than just number changes. Necromancer needs to be smoother, and I main the class for a reason. A lot of people are still playing Necromancer. We just hope for better, I guess. Above that at 4 though, we have Druid. Druid have two main issues that keep it lower for me in the vibe aspect. The first and biggest real issue remains their leveling. Barbarians used to be in a bit of a similar boat, but with the season journey introducing more faster sources of aspects in the game, they seem to be getting geared and effective much quicker during leveling in season 3. The same can't be said for Druids at all. These guys rely on specific uniques that aren't going to just enhance a build, but are basically the basis for the build to even work, where certain skills become transformation related skills, core mechanical concepts like that being tied to an item you can't get until much later, and there is RNG involved. In Season 2, Druids did win big by having uniques you could actually target farm from specific bosses, but that's still not possible until, quite late. So why do Druids have to wait longer than any other class before they reach that kind of fun point where they really get going? The other side of this is just my personal thoughts on Druid in Diablo 4. It feels like a less satisfying version of what a Druid could be. You got the animal companions, the spiritual stuff, the elemental powers. I feel it doesn't really hit the mark on these things, and I think that's represented by the class's player base, which to my understanding it's the least played class. And so that has to be for a reason. Next then, joint third and or second place, I guess, will be both Rogue and Sorcerer. Both of these classes are flying through, say, the open world, the dungeons, whatever content they do. Rogue has base speed that feels really nice, like you're sprinting around always, you're flipping and rolling around, you're dashing, you're teleporting. Hyper, agile, fast-paced gameplay. Sorcerer is feeling much like an actual sorcerer now. Actual ranged builds and sort of magic, if you will, instead of running around with balls that just kill everything that go near you permanently. They introduced the new relevant build of the Comets of Fire, while leveling you're using the Firewalls, Blizzard for ice stuff, and Ball Lightning's still pretty good if not OP. You've got a lot better management of your mana instead of the horrific state of that resource system in Season 1 by comparison, and I just feel that Rogue and Sorcerer are hitting their class fantasies really well in Season 3, and they're both competing for a top spot in terms of class balance and power in Season 3 too. So they're doing fantastic. But above them both, I have Barbarian. Like I mentioned a second ago, their leveling experience, which was their biggest pain point, has seemingly been improved. The season journey providing key aspects fast, aspects in general being more available en masse, the codex being more reliable for what you need. It's hitting that important power spike a lot quicker, with things like resource gen in the early days being helped by, say, your construct. And then they reach their insane heights in the true endgame, hitting the biggest numbers casually, clearing an AoE so well, the charge providing better mobility, just feeling good. They're very tanky, survivable. From my perspective, Barbarians have never felt better. So I have them at number 1 again for that reason in this vibe-based category. But that brings me to my overall conclusion, the average score or placement for each class based on those 3 categories, which means Necromancer is 5th or last, Druid is just above that at 4th place, Sorcerer at 3rd, Rogue 2nd to my surprise compared to what I imagined going into the season, and Barbarian, as the truly expected, 1st place. Having said that, guys, I wanted to make clear during this video, and again now, that these ranks mean nothing. Barbarian is undeniably strong as hell right now, but Necromancer, who I just said was 5th, can still do everything in the game so effectively that it's a joke. There's nothing going to be challenging to a Necromancer right now, and they have more build variety than ever before. It's just when I'm forced to compare them and rank them, this is how I place them. Hopefully you can understand my reasoning, but for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.